Segments Has Spoken, a Survivor Fancast. My name is Mark, and I am here once again with my very, very favorite castaway, Amber. Amber, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm feeling great. We've had a couple days to kind of think through this finale.
We didn't want to rush into recording this. We wanted to kind of let it percolate a little bit.
Exactly.
And so it's percolated.
Yes, and you had a mandatory meeting to be at during the airing of Survivor, so you didn't actually finish it until 1:30 in the morning. That would have been really too late to give it our all and go ahead and record.
Yeah, so I got back from my meeting, and Amber was finishing watching, so I had to go away.
I had the screen paused, but I couldn't even let him come in the room because he would see who was on the screen and know who wasn't voted off yet.
And so I had to put headphones in because I wanted to make some popcorn, and I went up to my bedroom and just tried to shut the world away. Amber finally finished at like 11 o'clock.
Well, I had no idea that they were going to take you. I thought we'd get to... It just seemed like you had to go really far into the reunion show to get the winner.
Well,
like another
interesting
25, 30 minutes into that.
It was still actual play in the finale. And it seems like over the last couple seasons, like the finale has gotten less and less. Like I liked it when they would talk to the survivors and kind of get their input.
Yeah, I would have liked to hear why each person voted for who they voted.
Yeah, and how they... how they've been since the show and what their takeaway from, like, there's a lot of really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I feel like they could have used some of that Kevin Hart time and just
ridiculous. But anyway, we will get there. So I started watching it at 11 and fast forwarded through all the commercials thanks to the magic of DVRs.
Yes.
And finished off about 1:30 and was very good. It was a great wrap up to the finale. I've got a lot to say. But because of the busyness of the schedule, Amber has done a fantastic job. She's kind of going to take the lead on this episode and guide us through this final episode of Segments Has Spoken, Ghost Island.
Yes, so we're going to kind of walk through the episode, and then we're going to talk about our feelings and thoughts. We've got quite a bit of feedback to share from our fans, and we're going to go over our season's worth of votes for Outwit, Outplay, Outlast.
Oh, man. We'll see how we did.
Yeah.
All right.
So, starting the finale episode, they kind of did a little recap. They highlighted each character. There's 6 people left, and they just said 1 or 2 things about each one.
What I liked about that was that they tried to go, what could we say about this person that makes it seem like they might win?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though there is no question.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good.
Yeah, so
Seabass, the provider. Like, really?
Which we never saw, and apparently he did. We've heard some reviews.
Very...
He really did fish a lot. He kept everybody full.
Yeah.
That's maybe one of the reasons we didn't see them complaining about hunger like we often would.
Yeah, and so in that interview, Amber, I don't know if that's the one that you listened to, but Seabass said that he actually had a really good relationship with Wendell because of all the hours that they spent fishing together. And they said spear fishing and providing, and so Seabass said we were like brothers out there.
It's crazy that we didn't even see
Never saw that.
one time of fishing.
Yeah,
not a single thing, and that's his whole profession. Seabass.
Yeah, crazy.
So his big thing is he still had this extra vote that he could use. He got at Ghost Island. Jonathan's big thing was that he did some truth bombs. Not looking good for Jonathan.
Yeah.
Laurel's big thing was her unwavering loyalty, which may also be her downfall.
Yeah.
Angela's big thing is that she's been left out of virtually every vote.
Good job, Angela.
Wendell is laid back, clever social game, and has a hidden immunity idol.
What I liked about when they talked about Angela, and they said, hey, you guys remember Angela? She's this one. And people were like, no, I'm not sure. No, you remember her. She's the 6th person. There's 6 people.
Aww.
Are you sure? Oh, yeah, that's right. Something about the military?
She made it to Final 4, for goodness sakes. It's kind of disappointing when somebody who seems on the outskirts makes it that far.
Is that Chelsea? No, Chelsea was the other one we don't know. That's Angela.
Yeah, so we actually heard more from Angela than Chelsea, but not much. And then Dominic's highlight thing was that he has electric gameplay, and he was holding on to both a real and a fake idol.
Yeah.
So that was the little synopsis that started the show. We are starting on night 35, coming back from Tribal Council. There's some discussion. Wendell, I think, kind of jokingly says that if he would have known that some people were going after Dom, that maybe he could have gotten him out. But I don't think he really meant that. So Sebastian said that he thought that everybody was going to vote out Donathan. It didn't happen. I don't know. It's hard to remember back to that. But he said, I've been voting with the big boys, but I'm sick of it. I'm a big boy, too. Sebastian
Good job,
said
Sebastian. So. Yeah, and I think that is really interesting. And so Sebastian, he's trying to make something happen. He's got this extra vote. That's his big thing. And so he knows that Laurel is going to cause a ruckus because she always does. And so he is like, if I just get Donathan and Angela together, we have enough.
That's all you have to do.
And so he does it. He pulls it together. Like, this is going, I'm like,
it was a super smart move. It was probably the absolute best time to use that extra vote.
Yeah, and then Angela.
What in the world,
Come
girl?
on. I was so
How
furious.
Does this possibly benefit you? How does this possibly benefit you? Did she think that they would take her to the final three instead of Laurel then? I mean, they sort of did. But that doesn't help her winning at all. Not even close. I don't understand.
Yeah, you certainly have. If Wendell and Dom are in the finale, you have zero chance to win.
Yeah.
So any loyalty to them means nothing at this point.
Right.
And so she goes back and tells Dom that this is the plan. Oh.
Yep.
And so
I had just finished writing, Angela's in the loop for once. And then my very next thing in the note was, tells Dom about it, ugh, with exclamation points. What are you doing?
It is. Let's fast forward real quick since this is the same topic. So we're at that tribal.
Yeah.
And Dom is doing his Dom thing. He's like, Jonathan, do you have anything to say? You're very quiet this time.
Oh, my goodness.
And Jonathan's like, nope,
goodness.
I don't have anything. He's like, well, let me pick it up. He's like, there's a plot to vote me out. Seabass has a double vote.
Goodness.
And you could just see like Seabass going,
this was one chance.
This is it. I've waited till the last moment to get him out. And somehow what happened? He didn't know who spilled the beans. And I heard in an exit interview at the finale, he didn't know it was Angela till they were watching it together in that moment.
She started crying when everybody's watching it together because she knew he was going to be mad.
Come on.
What did you do, girl? Oh. I don't think she could have won regardless, but it definitely would have shook up the game. She definitely could have got somebody out.
So is that the tribal where Dom did the grandstanding? He's like, well, let me put on my jewelry. Or let me put on all my bling.
Yes. I've got so many messy notes. It's kind of hard to see there, but yeah.
And so he comes out, right? And he's like, I've got this idol. This is from this season. I've got this idol, which was actually his fake one. It's from this season. And then I can't remember why did Wendell all of a sudden like, well, I'll bring out my bling too. And he starts loading his stuff up.
I don't know. It was so weird.
And so then Dom takes his fake idol and goes over and gives it to Jeff. And then sits down, and then it's time to vote.
So that was the weird idol where he gets power if he fools somebody with it. Was that the power?
Well,
the power of being able to fool?
It's just the power was, here's a pre-made, good-looking fake idol. So in the past, in this season had found idols like the stick, like other things that had no power, that had regained power. And so he's like, you remember this. This is from season whatever. Now it's been on Ghost Island.
I mean, it makes
power.
perfect sense, but
Completely.
It doesn't really. He had to lie.
It has nothing.
And he used half of Wendell's immunity idol paper or something that one time when Donathan was saying, what did he give? What did you get? What do you have in your bag? I'm just holding something for him, or whatever the excuse they gave. That was the paper to try to make it look authentic.
Yeah. And so that may have been one of my favorite parts of the episode, because Dom couldn't risk playing his real idol, but he had to make it look like it was like the greatest acting he did in the whole season. I loved it. I thought it was super good, and I was really surprised that the jury took it so poorly.
Yeah, I don't know if they just didn't have time to process it, or Sebastian for sure took it poorly, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Did he not use his extra vote? I put on here he didn't use it.
He didn't use it.
That seems
because
weird. He thought he could save it for the next time?
I don't know what he was doing. He was just, I think he was so deflated. In that moment, he's like, I'm kind of recalibrating, trying to figure out what we're going to do. If I vote Donathan, then they'll think I'm still with them. And so he ended up being like the only person that voted Donathan, and he got voted out.
Yeah, that was rough.
So...
We did skip over the challenge. It was an immunity and a reward. It was the really big skull maze.
That was awesome.
It was really awesome. We never even got to see him eat the reward. I think it just... there's too much to cover in this finale. But they were playing for steak, baked potato, bread, and dessert. Mm-hmm. I put LOL because they said dessert. They always speak up what they're gonna say.
It's a decadent
did somebody not
chocolate
tell Jeff?
cake.
I could just see him off in the corner, I don't have the dessert. I don't have the dessert. What am I gonna say? Is it apple pie?
What am I just gonna say? Dessert like some kind of an idiot? Oh, okay, well. Right. But that maze, so I heard that was the I think Jeff said it. It was the largest.
In Survivor history.
I tell you what, let's just take a moment just to appreciate the glory that is Jeff Probst.
I know,
the guy
right?
is, how did he get this gig? I mean, he's perfect for it.
Yes.
His life, and they're already, so this was season 36, 37 is done, they're filming 38 right now.
Really?
Yeah. And so
because they were showing clips from 37.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they just started it or if, wow, that's
his
crazy.
whole life is being in tropical locations, but not sleeping on a beach. He sleeps in some sweet, swanky hotel,
and
I'm sure.
He keeps the realistic passion for it.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I do believe if anybody out there watches The Bachelor, Chris Harrison hosts that. He's losing his passion.
Is he?
He's not very excited anymore. But Jeff seems excited. There's only 2 times, this time with the dessert and then during the finale reunion when he goes over to talk to Dom. I think maybe a producer or somebody is supposed to get Dom ready. He's like, here's Wendell, the winner. And then over here, somewhere, is Dom, wherever he is. And then he just kind of said something else, but I could just imagine him afterwards going, what were Dom was supposed to be right here. I don't know. I just imagine the behind the scenes.
His behind the scenes, his dimples go away and he just gets angry and mean.
But I don't think he could be legitimately angry for long because it feels like real passion. It feels like he really is excited.
I do think he really loves this game, and it is, he says the greatest social experiment on television or in the history of the world or whatever.
Yeah. It's always a big statement like that.
It's so great. But I love that maze. Donathan was the worst. Surprise.
Yes. he was very, very slow when he came back. The first time he finally got his first bag back, he's like, I made it, Jeff. And Probst said, the crowd erupts in celebration.
Snarky Jeff. Yeah. So good.
But Wendell won the puzzle, and he yelled it really loud.
Jeff Probst.
I think I'm done, Probst.
Yeah, so good.
Good boy, because he got called out for not yelling his name before.
So throughout this episode, throughout the whole finale, we really saw the cool under pressure Wendell.
True.
He never there was some intense things. So even the next challenge, they're doing some balancing. It was a very tricky thing, but the guy was cool as a cucumber in everything he did. I was really just impressed. He was behind, even in this maze one. He was behind. Laurel was
kind of did a slow jog the whole time. He kept his energy,
keeping focused.
Yeah,
slow and steady.
I think that's a real survivor skill, this cool and calm under pressure. I think he knew what he was doing. He knew if he ran too fast at the beginning, he'd be too tired to finish. And
Laurel needed these wins.
Oh, she
needed
really did.
Something on her resume. She needed protection. She was in a tough spot, and she just couldn't pull it out when she needed to.
Nope.
Very surprising.
So Wendell did pick Sebastian and Angela to do the reward with him. And that made Laurel quite upset.
Holy cow.
And that was him pandering to the jury. I mean, he said he made that very clear. He was planning to send Sebastian home that night, and he just was hoping to make sure that they had some good feelings toward him.
Yeah. Apparently worked.
Yep. So during that was when Angela spills the beans to Dom about all the...
Oh, ridiculous. That was infuriating.
So we kind of already covered the excitement in that. Tribal Council, it was 1 vote for Dominic, 1 Donathan, and the rest for Seabass, it looks like.
And so Seabass ends up going to the jury, a bitter jury member.
Yeah.
But
he did say Dom is such a good actor.
But he did leave going, hey, I had a great time, and I really like it when people leave in a good place, Yeah. What was that guy? Remember the Big Brother? I think it was last year, and he got voted out, and he just walked over the coffee table.
Oh my gosh! I think it was Cody.
It was Cody.
Yes.
Oh, that was. That's my second favorite. He didn't berate anybody, but he
didn't say a thing to anybody. He walked over the coffee table so he wouldn't have to touch anybody, picked up his bag, and he's out the door.
That's so good.
Oh, man.
So Cody and Jessica, they ended up winning Amazing Race.
They were a good team. We didn't watch all those episodes, but they were good.
Many episodes. So anyway, Seabass on the jury. What happened after that, Amber? They won't go back to camp?
Yep, we're back to, they just jump right away into the next immunity challenge.
Oh.
So day 37 immunity challenge. This one involves climbing. It's in the water. You climb up something. You slide down the slide. Gather some puzzle pieces. It's a 4-piece pyramid puzzle this time.
Yeah, you'd think that 4 pieces is not going to be that big of a deal, but it was a mess.
It really was. And Dominic, just for some reason, he really thought it was going to be flat on top. And Wendell's like, if it had been flat on top, you would have won, man.
So good. And so, again, like, everybody needs this thing. And Wendell just slow and steady, gets up, gets down.
Angela really struggled in this, which how long ago was she in the military?
I don't know.
She's 43, so it could have been a while ago. Just because she's been there doesn't mean it's been recent.
That's true.
She's the only one who plugged her nose going down the slide into the water, which it's not wrong to plug your nose, but it's just like, it made her seem like she's not physically adept because everybody else was just diving in, going as quick as they can, and she was struggling.
Yeah,
so.
It didn't seem like there was anything about her gameplay, her challenge play that was like, I think I could win this, or this is important. It was just kind of like, well, I better get through this.
Yeah, I just need to show I accomplished this. Yeah,
so very strange for Angela. I had huge expectations for her gameplay at the start of the season. Like, oh, she's ex-military. She's obviously fit. She's, I think she's gonna do great. And that's just.
Yeah, that was Jeff's pick to win, I think, was Angela.
Really?
Jeff Probst. I just listened to something where they were
I thought it was Wendell. Okay.
When she walked in, she looked crazy. She had crazy eyes, and he just thought she was gonna. Maybe he just thought she was gonna go far.
Oh, I think he was talking about the food eating challenge.
Oh, specifically the food.
And
okay,
so,
okay.
Because she was crazy that day.
Oh yeah, she
and
was.
You see, like she's kind of dancing
that weird
around,
shaky.
and
I'm gonna shake these
and
sea slugs
sticking
down
her
my
tongue
throat.
out,
Yeah.
and blah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, that makes sense. Okay,
so that's what I think.
All right, so Wendell won this one again. I think the Jeff quote was, "Out of nowhere, Wendell quietly builds the pyramid."
Yeah, and it was amazing, and he probably did that in all the challenges that he won. But it just seemed very obvious that he wasn't like, probably that weight, the pressure of like, I have to win this. Yeah. I need to get, I've gotten this far. It was just like, I know what I'm doing. I'm solid. I got this. And he just plugged away and just did it over and over again. So.
Yep. So let's see. Donathan, there's some discussion before Tribal. Donathan says that he would take Dominic if he made it to the final 3, and Dominic says he's a poker player. That's a snap call. The fact that he didn't even pause at all, he said that's a bluff.
Yeah,
to be able to say so quickly. But why Donathan is even in the play for the end here, who knows?
Yeah, it's so weird. And somebody asked him in an exit interview, and Donathan's like, "No, I didn't mean it. I'm just saying you never know anything. Yeah. You don't know who you're messing with." I'm like, "What are you talking about, Donathan? They're messing with a goofball."
He made it pretty far. Good old Donathan.
He did, but he just destroyed his game at the end. I think last episode, you and I talked about how maybe it was like, I can't win, so I'm just going to lose the game. So
give them a reason to vote me out instead of
just be done.
Thinking that I accidentally failed or something. So Wendell definitely makes it sound like he might give his idol to someone because he has immunity from the competition. Andy has an idol, and this is the last chance to use it, right?
Yeah. It only makes sense because you are buying yourself such goodwill at that point. And so, but then the question is, who do you build that goodwill with? Yeah,
and Laurel seemed like that. Well, or Dom. I mean, you don't think Dom because at this point he doesn't really want to compete against Dom. So Laurel seems like the obvious choice, but then you wonder, maybe you pick Angela or Donathan because you've got a better chance of winning against them.
Yeah, and Dom had his own idol that he had to play on himself that night. So, it makes sense to put it on Laurel. They've got this relationship, and that kind of solidifies that for sure, especially, after she was so mad that he didn't take her on the reward challenge earlier in the episode. And so maybe that was just kind of part of his gameplay. But over and over again, when you hear interviews with Wendell, he's like, man, she was like my sister, like we were closer than anybody out there. And so.
During the council, I think they knew that Wendell could give his necklace to someone. Laurel saying, well, I'm hoping that loyalty beats strength. And Donathan says, yeah, but we're at the nitty gritty, honey. So he thought he was up for a possible necklace get there, but they did cast the votes. And then Wendell played his necklace for Laurel, and he said she reminds him of his sister. I wondered at that point if that's also was jury pandering or if it was just... I mean, he knew he would beat her if he brought her to the end. That wasn't a huge risk, I don't think.
Yeah. And somewhere around here was when Laurel was talking again, like, I hope that, if it's the three of us, I hope that you split the votes and then I can still win.
How does that even work?
I'm like, what are you talking about? It's going to be 5-4. You get 0 votes.
Yeah,
like,
unless
that's not
people in their head were just like, I can't pick between the two, so I'll pick Laurel instead.
Yeah,
These two guys are equally worth winning, so I'll just pick the person who's not. Like, that definitely didn't make sense. Like you said, they don't cancel each other out, the votes.
Yeah, and there's so many things about Laurel's gameplay. I feel like going in, I was rooting for Wendell. And as you know, I always like to vote for underdogs. Yeah. And so as Wendell and Dominic got better and better, I was like, who am I rooting for? And early in the season, I was like, man, I really like Laurel. I just think she seems like she's got the whole package, right? She's athletic. She's smart. She went to Yale or something like that.
Yeah.
And she seems like socially she's doing well. But she made such, in my view, just these bad decisions. She had to turn on them. But hearing the interview with her, and it's like, when do you make that move?
Yep.
It just
partnering with those guys got her really far. I think she needed another strong player to be making the move, and not put it on her. Yeah. And then that would have helped her.
Yeah, if she would have flipped on them, she would have gone to another alliance, maybe with Seabass and Angela. She's on the bottom of that, and she's gone.
Yep.
And so I do think that she had no chance of winning going to the end with Dom and Wendell, and she had hardly any chance winning by going with somebody else. But it seems like you just go with that. If it was her and
Sebastian in the end, that would have been a very interesting debate. I don't know who would have won.
Yeah, like you at least have a chance.
Yeah.
And so it seems like at the end you just go, I'm turning on him. Just like Wendell and Dom did at the end. It's like they weren't able to do it because they both had so much stuff to protect them
right.
that they wanted to turn on each other, I think, and they just couldn't. And so it's like, well, we're just going to the end together.
Indeed. So Dominic did end up playing Andrea's idol in that same thing. I don't think he got any votes. I think everybody knew he had it because he pulled it out last time. Donathan was the last Malolo. So he told her.
No, Laurel's Malolo.
Oh, he said to Laurel, you're the last Malolo. Give him hell.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He said he had the most wonderful experience of his life. So he's the one who got voted out. Donathan got voted out.
Yeah, and I think he left, it's just disappointing. I remember the very first episode, maybe the 2 episodes, I was like, I love this guy. I like his story.
When he dove down, he didn't think he could, and he dove down. Yeah.
And then it's like, over the trajectory of the story, it's like, what happened to him? Why did he go crazy? Like, it's disappointing.
He has rejection issues.
Yeah, I definitely think that. And but I think it was nice. He left on a good note.
He did.
He wasn't angry.
I watched his Ponderosa thing. He was just feeling really good about the whole experience.
Oh, that's great.
He was really proud of himself, and
he should be
very happy. Yep.
Like, he's just this little guy from the middle of nowhere, West Virginia.
Never even had left his hometown hardly. And,
he did great. It was just a weird ending the last couple episodes, but I cannot imagine the psychological pressure and the physical pressure on people, and so it's like you just got to give people a pass.
Yeah, I'm surprised more of them don't crack and say crazy things. You know, that at that point they showed the live feed with Jeff and the audience watching the finale, and the singer Sia gave Donathan's family $10,000 to help with his mom or whatever. She really liked him, so we didn't actually see Sia. I mean, even if she was on stage, we wouldn't have seen her.
Yeah, I get it. Sia, nope.
She covers her face with hair.
Get it? Sia. No.
Oh,
don't
what
see
a paradox.
Let me just say that again. See ya. No, you don't.
No,
just
so
I just want to make sure all the listeners kind of caught that hilarity. I don't know if anybody's ever made that kind of a joke before.
I don't think so. We should write that somewhere. Tweet that. That'll tweet.
That'll tweet.
Okay. Now we're up to day 39. We have another immunity challenge. This is the one where they have to stack the 6 balls. They have to walk on a wobbly beam. There's these little discs. You have to stack a disc and then a ball, a disc and then a ball. And if they fall down, you have to start over again. I think Wendell helped keep us calm because he was chewing on a piece of wood.
Yeah. Well, he's so cool. He's like Donald Glover cool, you know? And I liked this challenge. I'd never seen it before. I don't know if it was brought back or if it was brand new for this season, but I'd never seen it, and it was very interesting, and it seemed relatively easy, but then all of a sudden, because it seemed like, well, Wendell's just walking away with this. Right. He hits at 5 or almost the 6th ball, and it comes toppling.
I was kind of glad to see that. He didn't need to win 3 things back to back.
Very glad, yeah.
So seeing Dominic win, I felt like that was exciting. I think I like Dominic better than Wendell. I don't know why, but I heard him interviewed later, and he said he thinks maybe that was where he failed. Maybe he should not have won that competition because then he could have been in the fire. I don't know how he said it. Anyway.
Well, this idea of so the jury is watching Wendell
as far as the votes.
Overcome this challenge to beat Angela he earns his way in.
You're right.
And so
that might have
Dom
swayed a jury
also
vote.
earned his way in, but the jury didn't see it.
And then he's the one who had to pick Angela as being the weaker fire player, and it seemed like he was throwing Angela to the wolves. You're right. That's what he was talking about. It was all the jury.
Yeah, and so last year there was 2 contestants, and I don't want to spoil it because I know there's somebody who's going to go back and watch these. So there's 2 contestants. One wins immunity challenge after immunity challenge and gets their way to the end of the game.
Yeah.
The other person keeps finding hidden immunity idols and is able to bring them out with these kind of big bombs, right, at tribal council in front of the jury. So it's like they're both incredibly valuable, but one plays so dramatically to the people who are going to be voting for you.
It makes a big difference.
It's very, it's very, very interesting.
I don't usually think about the jury that much. I just feel like they should give it to whoever played the hardest.
Right, because the jury's not watching all this stuff.
Right.
They're just showing up for this, these tribal councils, which they say can be over an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah,
and we just see a few minutes of them.
See that edited down. All right, so Dominic wins that immunity challenge, and then they all go to Ghost Island. Now, I thought they were going to do the thing where they went and snuffed everybody's torch or something.
Yeah, they've done that.
That's okay, because I was kind of like, man, it's
we get it.
It's 11:45 at night, and they're going to go snuff everybody's torch.
They're gonna go. This one says, "Shall say." I don't remember.
Say?
I don't know what this person was. Whatever, but
sometimes they do a little memorial to the past contestants, but they didn't do that. So they're on Ghost Island. Dominic says he's trying to figure out which girl has the better chance of making fire against Wendell. So that's what he's got to decide. It's going to be him sitting next to one person, and then the other 2 are going to battle it out. He can't just pick Wendell to sit next to because that's really risking his win.
Oh, yeah, it would be ridiculous.
So he's got to pick one of the girls to sit next to, and he's got to pick the other girl to make fire against Wendell. So he tries to get them both to pitch him or whatever. Laurel says, I can't make fire. It's just not me that's going to take him out. It's got to be Angela. Then Angela says, is she Marine? I don't know. Anyway, prior planning prevents poor performance, and she practices fire with Dominic to try to get it. And I just think the fire's really fickle because you're under pressure, even if you know how to make it.
Oh, that's
whether
for sure.
or not it's going to catch. We've seen one of the seasons where it was over 40 minutes, 45 minutes. The jury was practically falling asleep. They actually gave them matches, and they still couldn't light it. It was really bad.
Yeah, it was a real bad one.
After a while, they just gave them matches. Yeah, so you never know how that's going to work. You're under pressure, and sometimes the flint's not great or whatever. So
yeah, and so that's very interesting. In the Survivor community, there is a lot of back and forth on, do we like this fire-making challenge at the end? And I don't know. What I think it does give us as viewers is both this season and last season are the 2 that it happened. Because of that, we had the 2 best players up against each other and a 3rd player in the finale. Otherwise, the person who won would have been gone last season.
Right.
And whatever. One of them would have been theoretically gone. No, that's not true. Anyway,
it keeps you from having just a real powerful player and a real weak player.
Yeah. I thought I had that thought through better. Oh, well. But, yeah, I don't know if I like it or not. It's fine. it is what it is, and nobody had a chance against Wendell. He's just too with it. I think with making fire, though I've never done it, it seems like just I know what I'm doing, just being calm and just going through the process methodically is going to get you the fire.
Yeah,
and that's what Wendell does.
Angela had a better system where she kind of built up a little wall to try to block her kindling because I thought it was going to keep the fire or the wind out, but maybe it kept too much.
Yeah, and it's really surprising that Laurel, she knows how this game works, that she wouldn't. Like, you have nothing to do out there.
Yeah, that does
Why
seem weird.
aren't you just building fires all the time?
You should be practicing it before you ever go to the island.
Yeah.
And then continue to practice it the whole time.
Especially these guys, because they knew ahead of time that this is last season. It was a surprise. So they knew what was coming. Yeah. So very surprising.
I think that it is something that is more natural to some people than others, for sure.
For sure.
Another thing that happened on Ghost Island is Dominic got to pick which urn to use.
Yeah.
There were 3 urns that had been used in seasons where the person who won the final immunity chose the wrong person to go up against. Like, whoever they chose was the one they lost to, which, it's always a gamble who you're going to pick. So he picked the
China one.
The China one. So there was one of our feedback we'll get to. Adam was wondering, was there significance to that? Did that have anything to do with anything? And I think it was just another one of those things with the curse, the curse idea.
Yeah, they're trying to play that up, and that one didn't work for me. I was like,
it was just a box to put the votes in, but
yeah, I think that for returning viewers, right? It's like, oh, I remember all 3 of those. I remember kind of the feeling of those final tribals, and so it was maybe lost on us because of our, just not
knowing all those seasons.
Those seasons or being emotionally invested in them. So,
sure.
So that didn't mean much to me. He picked the China one, and that was fine. So.
Right before we go to tribal, Dominic drops this bomb of a thought, in my opinion, where he says, "What if I give my immunity necklace to Angela, and then I battle it out with Wendell to make fire?" And I was like, oh, wow, to give up your immunity for a chance to get Wendell out of it. I think he could have won the game, but I don't think he was sure that Wendell was going to get more votes than him.
No. So it would have been very exciting. In hindsight, that might have been the only way he wins the game. But to realize that I could make what will go down as the worst choice in Survivor history. Like, that pressure is too
I won the final
much.
Immunity, and I just gave it to someone else for no reason, really.
Yeah, I think if you were confident that you weren't going to win, but you just can't be. You just don't know how those votes are going to go.
Obviously, the votes were really close. Yeah. So I think that he made the better choice not to do that. But
absolutely.
Wow, would that have been exciting. And Wendell's fire really did catch quickly and burn. I feel like it went really fast to burn that high.
Yeah, surprise, Wendell crushed it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that...
Would Dominic have let him sit in the purple seat?
That was another crazy thing. It's like, Angela, why would you do that? Even if you don't believe that there is a curse or anything, the psychological impact on your opponent, don't forget, Angela, that is your opponent still.
And that seems like a military thing to consider.
Yeah.
I think she even talked about that in other episodes.
Yeah. And so
I feel like that would have been a cool win for her to be like, obviously there's no curse. I can win on the
Yeah, for sure. And so in the exit interview, she's like, well, I didn't care, and if Wendell was happy, I was happy. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That made him happy. Like, that's a big decision. She wouldn't have won. No matter what. Yeah. But it seems crazy.
Very strange option. So she loses, and she is the final member of the jury. And she gets to the jury, and what was surprising is that everybody on the jury was like, I'm sorry, who are you?
They did. I didn't feel like she was they know her because they always left her out of the vote, and she always told everybody every plan. She could not keep a secret.
So I just want to, pull back the curtain. I'm doing something that's called a running gag.
Are you doing a little running gag?
I'm doing a little running gag.
Oh, thanks for pulling back that curtain.
Kind of this thing where I'm pretending like people didn't know who Angela was.
Okay, let's keep doing that.
Okay.
All right, so day 39, it's our last day. Survivor's a 39-day challenge. They always get to have breakfast together. A lot of times it's a huge relief that they finally get to eat food. This time they've apparently been eating all along. I didn't feel the relief.
We didn't know that. Yeah. And so at the beginning of the season, Jeff actually said, we're giving them way less food than they've ever gotten before. And that is so often a storyline in Survivor. Never came up.
No.
Very surprised.
Yep.
So there must have... It's interesting. There must have been so much content. Obviously, these are heavily produced and edited. You have to choose what's going in and what's not going in. I actually heard that there's so much content now that, like, the Survivor logo, such a cool Survivor logo with for this year or this season with the palm tree. But like in seasons past, you would have had like an intro, and they would have shown that. And when they just didn't have time for that.
Okay.
And so you only saw that logo kind of scattered about.
Huh.
Anyway, so lots going on. So they obviously were choosing and trying to tell stories. One of my favorite episodes was pre-merge, was the night that Stephanie, the very long-haired Stephanie, not Gonzalez. Johnson. She got voted out. Like, they just told this great story about her and just her journey. And I was like, oh, I just love... It was a little bit slower of an episode, but the story was so engaging. And I think that the producers were doing that all season long. Obviously, we know where this is going. We want to tell the story of Dom and Wendell. Yeah. And so they show that and not the Sebastian stuff because that wasn't really going to play into the story they were telling. And so, it'd be interesting, to know some of these things that didn't make the cut. We heard Libby is a great strategist. We never saw that. We heard that Chelsea was making deals and working with people. Never saw anything. And so, very interesting.
This is the season we've dissected the most for sure. So there might be people that are left out, but it feels like a significant amount of people were left out of this season, or storylines were left out.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of a bummer.
Bummer.
I thought this was an interesting final tribal. Again, we haven't seen a lot of the seasons, but it felt to me like there's a lot more talk between the jury members. What I've seen before is each jury member gets to stand up and ask the two contestants a question, and then they sit down.
Right.
And another jury member stands up and asks some questions. So right away, when whoever asked the first question, Michael jumps in and starts talking about the contestants to the other jury members, and I was like, well, this is weird. Is it his turn to ask a question? But they didn't really do it that way. It was more of a discussion the whole time.
Yeah, I liked that. I thought it made it more interesting.
Oh yeah,
and it
I think so
too. The jury kind of get a feel for what went down on the island. You're not just getting the final survivor's opinion, but then you're kind of like going, wait a minute, who did bring Laurel in? And most people are like, oh, it was Dominic. That
was really interesting. I liked how they did that. And they did divide it into 3 parts. They did kind of an outwit, outplay, outlast part of the questioning. Couple of points I wrote down. At one point, Wendell said that he had built relationships, and an example he used is that he talked to Des about different rappers and about Kanye, and Des was like, I'm not going to vote on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to vote for you because we had a conversation about musicians.
She voted for Dominic, so I wonder if that swayed her at that point, the fact that he thought he was confident in her vote. She didn't seem happy. I love that Chris ended up voting for Dominic.
Love that.
I really like that little redemption story there. He respected his gameplay. Every vote that was cast, they would say, I'm voting for this person because they deserve it. They deserve it. They both really felt that their person deserved it.
And so that's, I think, a really interesting bit about Survivor. They're not voting for who, quote unquote, played the best game. They're voting for who they thought played the best game, and that is their own kind of subjective, arbitrary decision. Where do they put the weight? Is it on loyalty? Is it on gameplay? Is it on this or that? And so as a contestant, you have to know that about the people you're putting on the jury, which is a whole nother layer that very, very difficult to do. Yeah,
and different people will respond to different things. Dominic said at one point that he thought that getting Sebastian out, blowing up his vote there at the end was one of the most important things he did in the game. And Sebastian said, yeah, but I was going to vote for you, but now I won't because that was brutal. He was really hurt.
He was very hurt.
Yeah.
And I just can't get my mind wrapped around that. Like, yeah, I guess it was pretty showy, but how else? And I think Dominic explained it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, how else am I going to?
Yeah.
I need you guys to think this.
Who we should have been mad at was Angela, but I guess he didn't know at that point yet that
right.
Angela was the one.
Yeah, and so he's just upset, and it's very, that's a bummer. But based on his relationship with Wendell, it's not surprising that he ended up voting Wendell.
That's true. That's true. Maybe he only said that to kind of hurt Dominic there at the end.
Yeah.
Chris said, that you and I had a rivalry since day one. He's talking to Dominic. He's like, but there's still a mutual respect that I have. He has a mutual respect.
I'm holding on to this mutual respect. It's so good.
That was funny.
Yeah, and so at the tail end of the episode, when they're talking to the jury members in the after, it's not called After the Rose. whatever that is.
Reunion,
At the reunion. And so Dom and Chris had just run a race together, a supporting MS race,
that was
and
nice.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
And so if you follow these people on Twitter, many of them are actually hanging out and they're getting together, at various points. And it does seem like you are going to, if you can get past, it is a game.
Right.
We've all done stuff, and that's just how it is. But there is a brotherhood that would be created as we went through this crazy thing together, and so very cool to see that. And I think we talked about Jenna and Sebastian are dating or whatever now, and that is obviously not the case at the end of the season.
No,
and so they aren't voting the same. They're not even really connecting with each other, in the jury that we can see. So very interesting.
It is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they did the vote, and normally in this final tribal, Jeff will go get the urn like he usually would. He would put it on the stand, and then he would say, we're going to have to find out these votes at the live finale. And then he would walk out of the island, out the path, and then he would walk into the soundstage for the live, and then he would read all of the votes at that point. So when he took the cap off the urn and said, I'm going to read the votes, and everybody looked shocked, that is the first time that's ever happened.
Crazy.
Everybody was legitimately shocked.
What is going on here?
I did not immediately suspect a tie. Dominic and Wendell apparently did.
Yeah, it makes sense now. In hindsight, I was just so what's going on? How is this playing out? I was like, well, this is very nice for them. They don't have to wait months and months to figure it out.
I thought that was nice too.
So ends up being a tie. Sorry, Laurel. 0 votes for you.
0 votes for Laurel.
So I think it's very cool. The first 5 people voted out all voted Dominic.
Isn't that interesting?
I
know.
5 people. So
they really lived with him less.
Yeah.
They didn't know him as well, perhaps.
Wendell. And so, and I think you did see Dominic making more moves, taking out Chris, doing some real play early on.
I know.
And so those jury members would have seen that.
So I saw him stepping back a little bit as a self-preservation thing.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that if he was too in the limelight, if he was making too many decisions out in the open, that people would target him. Yeah. So I think him stepping back was wise, but then people didn't respect that. They want to know who was the mastermind, who made these decisions.
Yeah.
And they went with Wendell.
Yeah, and it appears that Wendell's social game just trumped Dom's.
I do think he tried.
And so I think he just
natural.
had those relationships with a variety of people, and that just worked. And so the first half of people on the jury, it was less about relationships because you just weren't with them as long.
Not as long, right?
So I don't know. I was surprised. Was I surprised that it was tied? I guess not.
I mean, it's the first time it's ever happened in Survivor history, so in that sense, you can be surprised. It's weird that it's never happened before, but...
Yeah, and so then we get back to the sound stage.
Well, Jeff announces that it's going to have to be Laurel that breaks the vote. That's terrible. I can't believe it. Now it's completely on her who wins $1 million. What a position to be in.
Yeah, and so she
she
comes
makes
back.
the vote, and then Jeff says, I'm going to save this vote.
Yeah, and she's like, I hated to do that, guys. And it would be real tough. And it's just tough going, wow, I got 0 votes. Oh, well. But everybody on the jury got 0 votes. Oh, well.
That's true.
And so Wendell is the big winner. They reveal that pretty quickly once we get back to the sound stage.
Yep.
And I was, for Wendell being my pick from the beginning, I was surprised at how not excited I was about that. I really, between the two of them, I thought Dom should have won it. because of his big moves, because of dealing with Chris, because of that big kind of outburst that Seabass really didn't like at that one tribal. Like, there just seemed like so many things, like that Dominic would kind of handle some of these situations.
Yes.
Like,
and Wendell even said, I let Dom take the heat. I let him do some of the harder stuff because I knew that would make enemies or whatever, something along that line.
Yeah. So Wendell did win a ton of competitions, and so I think there's so much positive to, you can't go, oh, he didn't deserve it, because he certainly played great. He certainly deserved that win, and I think it's really, really cool. He seems like just a classy guy. Yeah. And I bet we will see more of Dominic in the future. I'm sure we'll see more Michael Yerger in the future.
Man, yeah.
And we'll see Laurel if she plays again. She was pretty hurt. Talking to her,
just from audience reaction, and people were upset with her for not making different moves.
Yeah.
And that's terrible.
Yeah,
you got to do the best you can in the time.
Experience out there, but since being back, just all the kind of the vitriol on Twitter. People are terrible.
They are. That's a real person.
And we can disagree with her choices, but we're sitting in this privileged position of going, we could see how things play out. She's in the midst of it, trying to go, how do I get to the end, and how do I play, with integrity, and she's just doing the best she can. So I think she was great. I really, really like Laurel. I would love to see her come back again sometime and give it another go, but we will see.
Yeah, I think she was a good player. She's very intelligent, making some good moves. Just didn't get it all the way. All right, let's get to some of our listener feedback. We're really thankful for everybody for letting us know their thoughts. For everybody. We've got a couple of things from our moms. My mom just texted me, Wendell, with multiple exclamation points and a smiley face.
She was a fan the whole way through.
Yeah.
Unwavering.
Yeah.
I like that. Your mom's very loyal.
Yeah. Just like Laurel.
Just like
Laurel? Laura.
Whoa.
What? That's weird. Your mom was very happy. She said Dom seemed a little too arrogant. Wendell was just the best player.
He probably was.
Yeah.
I loved Dom's arrogance.
I'm a fan of arrogance. If it's done the right way. Something about Chris Noble's arrogance bothered me.
I loved it more and more. The more I saw Chris, the more I loved him.
Yeah.
If he came back some season in the future, I would be very, very happy. There's always this kind of talk of like heroes and villains, or a rival season, and he would be great. Bring him and Dom back. Give them another chance at it.
I think seeing Dom with his wife, that helped. That was just like, okay, well, he's arrogant and stuff, but look, he really has a good relationship with his wife. I liked that.
Yep, I like that too.
Your mom's also excited about next season, David versus Goliath.
That was interesting.
So it's
David versus Goliath.
The Davids are not necessarily short.
No, they're just people who have been
faced adversity. Only known adversity. Someone lived in a trailer park and was on food stamps.
And then you have the Goliaths who have had everything handed to them, and they're
a pro wrestler.
And I'm just like, it didn't feel like usually, and obviously this is the season. Like usually it's like these people like brains, beauty, and brawn, right? Mm-hmm. Like these people are really smart. These people are really pretty. These people are really strong. They all have these good characteristics. Yeah. What's going to help them? And this one, it feels like here's these kind of people who've really struggled, and here's these great people. I think it's gonna work. I mean, it's great, and they'll mix them up, within a couple days.
And they couldn't say like strong versus weak necessarily, but it's kind of that, you come in with the muscles, or you come in, you've had all the advantages, you graduated from the best schools and whatever. You think everything's going to go your way, but maybe somebody who's had to fight for everything in their life, nothing's come easy to them. Uh-huh. They're going to have a different kind of perseverance. And so I don't know. I thought it was intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about it. It's going to be good. So I don't know when they said that's coming out. I think in the fall.
Yeah. Not till the fall. Because that one goes all the way up till Christmas. So we've got some time.
Yeah.
We've got the Adam, Tara, Conrad family. Mm-hmm. Tara, I totally agree. She said, I cannot believe they made Laurel choose the winner. Instead of her knowing she was part of the team that chose the winner, it is solely on her shoulders and everybody knows it. So instead of her going to the jury, she's got to it's only on her shoulders. Yes, it seemed so mean. It felt like that was not a good thing. And then she had to hold that secret for months between the shooting and the finale. I felt so bad for her. So it did reassure me a little bit when I heard Dominic and Wendell both be interviewed, because they were both, pretty much positive it was Wendell.
Yeah.
Dominic said he knew 3 seconds into that it was a tie vote that his chances were done, because he knew it would be Laurel and he knew that she would go with Wendell. And so it wasn't like he had his hopes up for all those times. I mean, there had to be a glimmer. There has to be a glimmer of hope, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, see, I didn't feel bad for her. That didn't cross my mind. I see completely what you and Tara are saying. But, I mean, it's just another jury vote at that point, right? And yeah, I get what you're saying, and it would have been hard. I would have hated to be in that position. It would be easier to vote as part of the group, and your one vote.
You could have still been the one vote that was different, but who knows which one it was. It is tough to know that it's all on your shoulders. You're giving somebody $1 million, and you're telling somebody else no.
Yeah, interesting.
Adam said he thought Dom came off better than Wendell in the last tribal meeting. He said if Sebastian wasn't acting so crazy, he thinks Dominic would have won.
Dominic crushed the final.
I think he did.
And Wendell, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, I was up late at night.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights, making big thoughts. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's even Desiree was like, what does that mean? Tell me about these sleepless nights.
And Dominic comes in and is like, I did this and this, and I brought in Laurel. And
I would have expected Wendell to do better with that kind of.
Yeah, he didn't. I did not think he did well. I think that Laurel did a good job of at least holding her own in those conversations,
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so she didn't look bad or foolish, So.
Yep. Adam said he read Sebastian was drunk during that last meeting. I have seen that since then. So he came from Ponderosa, and apparently he'd had some drinks. That explains the whole, I was going to betray you, but then you betrayed me, and that really hurt my feelings. That logic that he had going. So that did seem weird. He was all set up to betray Dominic. So if Dominic protected himself, then he did well.
Yeah.
Conrad said he thought that Wendell made a great move by choosing the purple seat for the fire-making challenge. So he said, clearly the color orange is cursed.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Conrad. And the whole season kind of built up this. It's interesting. Built this new curse, the purple / or the orange curse. And I think we talked about that already tonight. But why would Angela give up that seat? It makes no sense.
It does seem crazy.
It was good for Wendell to speak up and do that. I agree, Conrad.
Tara wondered if there was any advantage to the wind there, if there's any more wind coming to one seat or the other, if Wendell had noticed that. If anything, I thought that the orange seat would have had less wind, but that could have been a thing as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was that bit of feedback. Go ahead.
So our friend Rohan, he gave a lot of great feedback here. So let me just go through some of this. He's a longtime viewer of Survivor, which is great. He loved this season. He remembers a lot of the mistakes that were referenced in this season, and it was really fun to see these super fans who love the game so much come and interact with these relics. For example, when Bradley got eliminated, instead of being upset, he marveled at the blind side they had pulled. I saw that kind of enjoyment from so many of these players. The finale was enjoyable, especially with the tie vote, but I think we all know who was going to win once it came down to Laurel. Completely agree. He made a bunch of points there. It was really interesting. And so in this season, when they found a relic, they were very good at saying, this is from season 28.
I appreciated that because we were nervous that we wouldn't know too much what's going on.
And so here we have Rohan who's seen those, and so there's a lot more emotional impact. Like, I remember that. Oh, that was terrible.
Right.
Why he did that. And so I wonder if this is just coming to me now. And so remembering the emotional impact of those bad game decisions in previous seasons, did that bring some tension to this season? Because I felt that overall this season had very little tension.
Yeah, I think they were hoping it would bring more than it did. Maybe it did to the players, but it wasn't that obvious to us.
Yeah, and so this whole Lolo Navidi dominance thing, and they got split up I think 3 different times.
Yeah.
In just coincidentally.
Yeah.
The luck of the draw, Navidi somehow came up on top of each of those.
Yeah.
And I think if one of those, Malolo could have gotten on top and made some big moves, like we could have had a very different season.
Yeah, that would have been exciting.
That's what I was looking for. I wanted something to sway the balance of power.
Right.
And you see that in some seasons where it can go back and forth and you think this person's on top. Nope, now they're on the bottom.
Yeah, one person switching alliance can flip the whole thing sometimes, and that just didn't happen. They tried
happened.
A couple times. It just didn't go down.
And so I did not I remember back when Desiree made that big move trying to get out. I can't remember if it was Dom or Wendell, but she was making the night she got voted out.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't do that. It's too early. But she was like the one person the whole season that was like, it's time to get these people out.
Maybe that made everybody else gun shy. I don't know.
I think it did. I think maybe it did. And thanks, Laurel. So where did I... Overall, I liked this season.
This is back to Rohan.
This is Rohan again. Overall, I liked this season and can't wait to watch more Survivor. If I had to criticize anything from this season, there was an imbalance of screen time. Did anybody know Chelsea or Jenna real well after watching?
He didn't mention Angela.
It's absolutely true. I would have made jokes about Jenna, but I had literally forgotten about her. That must have been challenging watching back, realizing that you were there for whatever it was, 20, 23, whatever.
You're on the jury.
You're there, and there's nothing. Just
That'd be
you
really disappointing.
Getting your hair smelled or something. And there was not much diversity in age. Again, something my mom brought up very early, preseason. Like there are all these.
Angela,
these
the
kids.
oldest at 43. A lot of times you've got somebody older than that, and multiple people in their 40s.
Do you think that that is kind of this new cultural thing? Because they were obviously, it's Ghost Island. We need super fans. Like people, older people, you're just not a super fan. You're like you're really into Star Wars as a kid, and then you grow up and you just go on.
I mean, in order to be a super fan, you have to do more than just watch it live as it airs. You have to interact on social media. You have to listen to podcasts. You have to look up these people's bios and read their blogs and follow them on Instagram. Yeah, and I don't know that.
Like I think for like my dad's generation, like that just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
You would be into a thing as a kid, and then you grow up and you do adult things. Me, I watched Star Wars as a kid, and now it's just like, I'm still really into it. And that's this new cultural thing, is that you just carry these things that in one time, one generation may have seen kind of childish, or to give your life to this kind of, or give your passion to this thing seems foolish. But
are you calling Survivor childish?
I'm saying that, no, I'm not calling it childish. I'm saying that for grown people to put so much...
To be a big fan of something.
A
super fan of anything.
What are you neglecting in life?
You're allowed to be a fan of sports.
That's true.
That Jack Nicklaus, the golfer.
Nicholson.
I
don't know. Yeah, you're right, Amber. And so there is socially acceptable things to be passionate about. And obviously things are changing. It's very socially acceptable to be super fan of all sorts of things nowadays. So
yes.
But I think that might have played into the age non-diversity.
With this particular season. I think they'll get some more next season, though, because I'm sure that we weren't the only ones to hear complaints.
Yeah, because I love those older players in some previous seasons.
It's interesting to see.
Rudy's and... Anyway, I can't remember their names. But these people that are just like, understand how life works a little bit.
Yeah.
So... Not much diversity in age. I enjoyed the various Isles advantages due to the theme of the season. Correct. I am glad this isn't the norm otherwise. Absolutely. I had to take a break from watching during undergrad and med school, so I was excited for a reason. Segments gave me to get back into my family's favorite show.
Yay!
So that's really fun. Thank you so much, Rohan, for that feedback. That was really, really great. And I'm glad that you and Dorothy enjoyed watching that show together.
Yeah,
Amber and I sure did.
Absolutely. He's a longtime viewer, and his relatively new wife, Dorothy, was a first-time viewer.
That's right.
So she said the most intriguing part of this finale episode was Dom possibly giving his necklace to Angela to take on Wendell in the fire making. I agree. She still thinks that Wendell would have won the fire challenge. She's glad both of them are in the finale, however. She was surprised at how hurt Seabass was and how he kept giving Dom the "are you kidding me" looks, since Dom's acting did save him from a Seabass betrayal.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And I think we've touched on that a lot tonight. But Dorothy, I am in 100% agreement. Seabass was stoned. Probably.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe not drunk. He was blaming somebody for protecting themselves from a stab in the back. Exactly. Overall, this season got her hooked. She's going to be back to watch previous seasons. You can find those on Amazon Prime. If you're a CBS All Access subscriber, you can watch all the seasons, but a lot of them are on Amazon Prime.
A lot of them are on Prime, so...
As a first-time viewer, it was interesting to see the Survivor lore and passion. Hopefully, I forget all the callbacks to previous seasons when I watch them for the first time. I'm hoping that too, Dorothy, because we haven't seen a lot of them. We've had some winners or some big plays revealed, but I feel like they're already fading from my memory. So hopefully it'll be just as exciting to go back and watch them.
I agree.
She said, "Thank you, Segments, for getting me into Survivor and giving my husband and I our new show to watch together."
It's always great to have a show to watch together. And what's fun about, Survivor, and we kind of started doing this just last season, season 35, Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers, is the amount of, you can talk, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah,
why did they do that?
fun.
What were they thinking?
Yeah.
And I think there is the idea of these are just kind of real people put in this ridiculous situation, and how would you handle it, and why, and so it is fun. There's a lot to talk about, and I think that just is part of the popularity of the show. I mean, it's been 18 years, 36 seasons now, 2 more for sure coming out, and it doesn't get old because it's just different people.
It's always different people dynamics, different choices that they make. You kind of have an idea of which way it might go, different tropes or whatever that have worked in the past, but it's always a little different.
Yeah.
And the editing is good. Even if they couldn't fit everything in we wished we could have seen, it's good because it always gets you thinking, who's gonna vote what at this tribal council?
Great storytelling. Yep. Where do you land, Amber? And we've seen some of the early seasons, and we've seen these last 2 seasons on the volume of advantages and idols. Where do you land with that?
I think that I guess I want there to be some, but not so many. Maybe 2 per season. And maybe that there's one pre-merge and there's one post-merge, and that's about it. But then I don't know how you decide if your tribes are in different spots who gets the pre-merge one. But I think it's really fun. It really adds a big element to the game. Usually people hold on to them for quite a few weeks and try to decide when the best chance to play it is, and we've seen some really cool moves. But I also didn't like that coming into the final 6 here, we had 6 advantages floating around, and that just felt like you can't make the moves you need to make because people are just holding on. They're hoarding these things.
It's too scary to make a big move because if they play that idol, it could easily be you going home. And so it creates this just, I got to play it safe. And it makes the person with the idol so excessively protected. Yeah. And so this idea that they have multiple, and so maybe if you put more time limits, you can use this idol within the next couple of things. Or
next
whatever.
3 tribal councils or something. I like that idea.
Yeah, and the legacy advantage that a lot of people didn't really like, right? But you can use it at 13 or 7 or something
that's
weird.
Kind of weird, but
that's
at least
challenging. But at least it's limited, and you can make a big move right now.
You can try to plan ahead with it. Yep.
Chris Noble won an advantage early in the season, and it was good for 2. He kind of earned it to be good for 2, ended up biting him in the butt. It would have been much better if it was only good for 1 because he would have played it and saved himself and maybe lived another couple days. So I agree. I just think it would be nice to see that reined in a little bit. I do like hidden immunity necklaces. It's fun seeing them kind of scrounge around and try to find this thing, and they get excited about it. But to have so many like the last season, season 35, it was just one after another after another, and
every time you find one, there's another one, or every time you use one, there's another one. I think that if you knew you had to use it within 3 tribals, then say you win immunity on your 3rd tribal, then you've really got a good reason to pass it off to somebody else, and that could really stir up the game. So I like the idea of a time limit. I like that. Yeah,
and I think that they're really great. I love them, but I do think they're getting a bit too much, and it's Dom and Wendell were so safe. People are just scared to do anything to them. Yep. So anyway, all right, awesome.
Something else that might be a bit too much is the amount of minutes in this podcast. But hey, it's the finale, people.
It's the finale. So, break it into 2 segments.
One more little bit of feedback, and then we're going to go over our Outplay Outlast. So we had some from Aaron. He said Angela is the worst.
Oh, my goodness,
We were
Aaron.
both totally rooting against her after she told Dom about Sebastian's plan. I really would like some more information about why in the world she did that. Also, his wife...
That makes no sense. Yeah. That was the worst thing. Like, does she just not want to win the game? She just doesn't care? There's no... And apparently she was kind of a blabbermouth the whole season. We just didn't see it.
Yeah, it sounds... I mean, she did... There was at least one other time when I remember her spoiling something. So
yeah, so really her and Laurel did that. Anytime somebody would come up with a thing, one of them would go back to the power couple and say, ooh, these people... And it's just like, you have to get rid of those people.
Yeah.
Your
this
fans.
Could be the chance to do it. At least consider it. Yeah. He said his wife, Bobby Jo, thinks that Wendell only gave the immunity necklace to Laurel because he knew it wouldn't matter. I mean, at that point, he knew it was going to, if he was up against anybody other than Dom, he would win for sure. And even against Dom, he had a pretty good chance.
It absolutely solidifies the relationship that they had, right?
I do think
she was upset about him not picking her for the reward, but they had this big, solid relationship up to that. I'll give her this immunity idol. It kind of restores things. It says, hey, I'm for you. Yep. It was just a brilliant move all around.
Definitely maybe won himself solidified his $1 million win. Last thing from Aaron is that he never liked Dom even a little bit, but he would have respected him if he'd done the fire-making challenge himself.
Aaron, that's just... I know these are all opinions, but that one is incorrect. Just kidding. It's a great opinion. I think, Dom grew on me. I didn't like him at first.
No, I didn't like him at first
either. He seemed a little bit too brash, but I thought he was fun to watch. That fire-making challenge, in hindsight, 100%, that would have been epic. But had he lost it, it's just too much risk.
Yeah, it would have been super embarrassing.
Crazy. But I agree. Thank you, Aaron. Good job. Thank you for the feedback. I told Aaron, Bobby Jo says, while watching the first episode, that Dom is totally the kind of player that no one gets out and then people vote for because he actually played the game. It was so smart of Wendell to pair up with him and keep the alliance.
It probably was, because if they went head-to-head, they wouldn't have both been there at the end. One of them would have taken each other out. They would have had to. So the pairing up was wise.
Yeah, and I think that he did. He was one of the few people... That's harsh to say. I can't say that. He was really playing the game. He just happened to be playing it from a position of power, which was great. And I think other people were kind of playing, but they were sitting back on their laurels, waiting for their chance to strike. And because they would win immunity challenges, they had these hidden immunity or these immunity necklaces. Like, there was just never a great moment to strike and yet have any confidence that you were going to continue on in the game.
You're right.
So, very challenging. So, thank you guys so much for that feedback. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was fun to share the season with you. We did, at the end of each episode, we picked who we felt outwitted, outplayed, and outlasted.
Okay.
Do you want to do that for this episode?
Yes. Well, I think that Wendell outlasted. I think Wendell was cool in every single thing. I think he outplayed. Did he outwit? I would give that to Dom because of that amazing tribal.
Yeah.
So I'd give it Wendell, Dom.
Okay.
So, but that's my opinion.
All right. So I went through, every episode we said, I wish we had a record of what we had voted previous seasons. Well, I went back and listened to the last few minutes of each episode.
So good.
And wrote down who we had voted. There's a couple people that I literally had no idea. James. We talked about James.
Oh, James
I cannot
Lim.
even picture James. Yeah. He's the one who couldn't dive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I did remember that after the fact.
So that was first one?
No, the first episode was a double episode. Stephanie Johnson was the outwitter because she had played.
That was great.
Played Jacob.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was fantastic.
Seabass had outplayed.
Oh, he was really good in challenges.
Yep. We did Dominic and Donathan were outlasting. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Who knows why?
Why?
Okay.
The next one we had Libby outwitted. I think that was a point when she could have flipped and she didn't. Mm-hmm. James, we thought was a runner-up.
That's when she flipped on what's that nice Morgan?
Yeah.
The whale trainer. Oh, that was a great move. It was devious, but man, it was a great move.
The whale I forgot she was a whale trainer. Good memory.
Thank you.
The outplay. The person we voted to outplay was the person who wasn't Bradley doing the puzzle. Because they were the team who won, and the puzzle making was really what made them win, and we just couldn't stand giving a vote to Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley.
So we just voted for the other person. We didn't know who it was.
Bradley.
Outlast was Chris Noble, because at that point he already seemed like a target, and we couldn't believe he didn't get voted out.
And this is where my love of Chris Noble really began taking off.
I do think yours began there. I think I still was not liking him at all at that point. Next episode, we had Michael at Outwitting. You said, can we give Outwit to someone who didn't? But then we agreed that we would.
Michael was, let me think. I have this tendency to make very bold statements.
Yes, you
do.
I
almost said that Michael was my favorite player in this season. And I don't know if that's quite true, but he's way up there. Every time he was on the screen, I just thought he was doing an amazing job.
I think he's my favorite.
Big Michael fan.
Yeah. I thought you were going to go even bolder than that.
Oh, no.
Preface. Outplay was Chris. We said he had a lot of gumption. I don't know.
Was that the one where he was playing baseball? The baseball one?
No, no.
Okay.
That was the next one. This one I think had to do with pulling somebody along a beam, pulling a boat or something. He just kept pulling harder and faster than everybody else.
Yeah, he's amazing.
We also put that he outlasted, and I said that Chris outlasted our distaste for him.
There
so
it is.
he was still there,
Good
and
job.
now we liked him better.
Yeah, we love him. Come back, Chris.
Yeah. Next episode, we had Jenna outwitting. So
That's
apparently
crazy.
she did something.
She did something there. Wow. Good job, Jenna.
This was Chris with his pitching arm.
That's when she was connecting with Sebastian. He was smelling her hair.
Okay. So she kept herself alive by making some wise moves there, probably.
Hooking up with, connecting with Navidi people. So good job, Jenna.
So Chris won the game with his incredible pitching arm in that episode, so he was the outplay.
Love that.
And Michael was outlast because this is when he started to be a target.
And for weeks, he should have gone home, and he fights his way. That's what I love to see. I love somebody scrapping their way through the game. Good job, Michael. I would have loved
to see him in it even longer. Mm-hmm. Next episode was episode 6 of the show. We tied Desiree and Kellen for outwit.
Really?
I don't know. Outplay was Wendell, and outlast was Desiree. I think Desiree maybe was supposed to go home, and she'd made some kind of a deal along with Kellen to keep herself alive.
Okay.
I'm only guessing.
Yeah, I'm just drawing a blank on that one. Good job, Desiree.
Episode 7, we had Dominic outwitting.
So good.
Michael outplaying, and Libby outlasting.
Yeah, I do remember.
I think Michael might have won immunity there, and that's why he wasn't an outlaster.
Yeah, he's real. He's a real beast. I mean, the guy's strong,
absolutely
smart. So
he just was on the wrong team. If he would have been Navidi, he could have maybe
absolutely.
The next one we did 2 episodes together. That's when you got back from Japan. We only did outwit, outplay, outlast at the end. So Angela outwitted that time. That was when she got a little devious. She was talking about how she was going to break people down and torture them and all this stuff. And we thought she was really
Michael Yerger
coming along. Yes. Wendell outplayed that episode, and Michael outlasted. He was still a target and did not get sent home. The next one, episode 10, Laurel outwitted. Sebastian outplayed, and Michael outlasted. He's still there.
Good job.
This was maybe when he played his immunity idol. He played it at the perfect time.
Yeah, he did.
He had all the votes against him, and he didn't get sent home. And then the next one, he did get sent home, but we still gave him outplay.
Yeah.
Episode 11, we had Dominic outwitting, Michael outplaying, and Donathan outlasting.
Yeah, Donathan was starting to make some good moves there, and he was really kind of coming into his own. This is before the fall of Donathan. So
the next one was the fall. That was episodes 11 and 12 together because you were coming back from Toronto. You're such a traveler.
I am, yes.
Dominic outwitted again. Dom and Wendell we tied for outplaying, and Donathan and Angela we tied for outlasting.
They outplayed in that great challenge with the spools.
Oh, you're
that
right.
Would go down.
Yes.
That's my favorite challenge of the
really
whole
fun to watch.
season. I just have been pondering, could I make that no. But wouldn't it be great to have one and just to try it and see how you
can you make
do.
that for our family vacation?
That'd be really, really fun.
That would be really fun. So looking at our total, we had more votes for Dominic as an outwitter, including today. He would have had 4 throughout the season. We had the most votes for Wendell to outplay. That works, including today would have been 4. And then outlast, we actually had the most for Michael. And he did not outlast. I think he was just on the border for so long. He held on so many weeks longer after he became the prime target that we were really impressed by him.
Yeah, and so obviously, how many votes Wendell. Did he get?
1, 2, 3.
3. And so who, between Dominic and Wendell, who in our votes won that category?
Dominic only had 1.
Oh, really?
Wendell 1? That doesn't make sense. That's
well,
what I get. They each only had 1.
Interesting.
They were more outwitty
tied.
And outplay. Because, the way that we did Outlast was the person who we thought was going to go home but save themselves. And these guys just were never even on the block.
In that place.
So in general, looking back at the whole season, they super outlasted. They never even got targeted. But the way that we did our votes, it was always the person on the bottom. So it makes sense that they didn't get the votes.
Yeah. So we had them tied pretty much in our kind of outcome of the season.
Yeah,
so that's interesting.
And our final vote kind of reflected it. We have Dominic outwitting and Wendell outplaying, and then Wendell obviously outlasted them all.
That's great. Well, a great, fun season of podcasting. It was very, very fun. So, Amber, before we close out, what is your kind of takeaway from watching Survivor Ghost Island Season 36 and podcasting about it?
Well, I feel like these episodes were really easy to talk through. It was weird to have to take notes on them. I think that part of the enjoyment of watching it was a little bit less just because I wanted to just get lost in the story. But then I think, oh, no, wait, I want to write that down. In fact, the last episode, I took a lot of notes. Mark wasn't home. And then maybe it was the one before this. Anyway, I got all the way done and I started watching a sitcom afterwards. And I kept thinking to myself, oh, wait, I got to write that down because they were saying funny things like, oh, I don't actually have to take notes on every show. It's just Survivor. And that's good because that would have been exhausting. So I think I loved the experience, but I don't know that we'll do it for every season.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really, really fun to, even having the discipline of like, oh, we're going to sit down and talk about this now. It was really fun. You just kind of approach the whole season in a different way, and for better or for worse. I think there's pros and cons to it. But I really did. I think we both really enjoyed just the talking about it and interacting with people that listen to the show, whether we go to church with them or their family or friends, and talking to other people about the show. It was just a really, really fun experience. I'm so glad that we did it.
And I didn't realize how much else was out there, social media wise, about Survivor until we started this part of our fan journey with the podcast, because I was doing some different research and things. So definitely check out what else is out there. There's a lot of cool things.
Yeah, there's content, an amazing amount of content. I think we were lost in a sea of Survivor content, but it was so much fun, and we had a great time with you guys. So thank you so much for listening and joining with us and your feedback. Yeah,
if you end up watching next season, and we don't record about it all the time, we still might talk about it on our flagship podcast segments.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a segment, a Survivor Has Spoken segment.
Yeah, so just a little mini one, and we'd love to hear your thoughts just along the way. It's fun to talk to other fans, even if we don't end up sharing them on the air, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think with our schedule right now and getting back to school, it's a little bit tough. But wouldn't it be great in a perfect world having Survivor watch parties?
Oh my goodness, that'd be so fun!
Like the joy of my life.
Make everybody not watch it and wait until like Saturday morning, and then come on.
Like a fun Saturday morning Survivor watch party,
like a Survivor brunch.
Oh, I get it. With I can't think of anything brunchy.
Oh my word!
Eggs.
Quiche. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. It was fantastic. This has been Survivor Ghost Island, Season 36. Segments Has Spoken.
Grab your torches and put them out in your yard to detract mosquitoes, because we're done with our camp.